All right, everybody. Thank you for showing up to the second presentation of this experiment we're doing here, this Just the Tips series. From the emails I got last month, a lot of you seem to like this format, keeping it to the point, real short, so that you can listen to it on your lunch break and still have time for lunch. So we're going to do another one. Today we're going to talk about social media, and it's mainly an intermediate course. So there won't be as many basics as when I do a social media 101. We won't talk about times a day to post, how to set up your Instagram account, that sort of stuff. Once again, Patrick King, founder of Imagine. We're a full-service branding and digital marketing agency in Northern Virginia. We help clients with rebrands, developing marketing strategies, and creating the content and online presence that helps them grow. We work a lot with local government and hospitality. I am highly sensitive to caffeine. So if you see me walking around with coffee, expect things to get weird. And just like last week, I'm still wearing strange socks. The webinar has a ton of tips in it, but I'm going to try and keep the promise of this webinar series, keeping it under about 20, 25 minutes. During any time in this webinar, throw your questions in the chat, and I'll go through them at the end. I've received a couple through email, so I'll be sure to address those as well. And with that, let's jump right in. We'll start with a big one that I get pretty often. Facebook alone can be exhausting, and we know it's important to be everywhere that our audience is. So how do you work all the platforms you know you need to be on, but still have time to do the rest of your job? The first, and probably the most important, is the content calendar. I can give you a copy of ours. To anybody that emails me to ask for it, just email Patrick at imaginedc.net. And if you didn't catch that and want me to put it in the chat, I can do that at the end of this talk. The content calendar is essentially a tricked out spreadsheet that helps you plan the week, as well as add any special days coming up or promotions in advance. The goal of it is to allow you to quickly get all of your posts scheduled within 30 minutes at the beginning of the week. And the calendar is the place that you dump everything in preparation of that week. So you can take a look at the entire week and go, okay, here's the things I need to post about. I can get them knocked out first thing Monday morning. This will also make sure you never run out of stuff to post, because we all have times where like, oh, well, we should probably post that, and then you totally forget. Well, it helps get in the way of you forgetting. Also, every post doesn't need to be written by you. So if you see something that's worth sharing, throw it on the content calendar, and it can be a post for an upcoming week. And it also shouldn't be all about you. You can share other companies' posts, clients' good news. You can share industry trends, things like that, stuff that you don't have to write. So the burden of writing isn't all on you. Next time saver is to get your hashtag research done in advance. And a lot of marketers overlook this one, and it's something you can have ready to go before a lot of your posts. I recommend about 7 hashtags per post on Instagram and Twitter, and if you're making posts for each day, just the hashtag work can be a pain. To make sure that you have really popular hashtags, I suggest tools like Hashtagify that you see on the screen here. They send you daily, weekly, or monthly updates on popular hashtags, so you can place them in your post for the coming week. It's a paid service. It's only $20 a month, I think. But you can also go on the site and do some hashtag research for free without signing in. You just get a lot more insight when you subscribe. And the email updates are pretty nice. Finally, use a platform to schedule everything. As you know, Facebook's a rare platform that allows you to schedule right on their site. But tools like PostFitty that I use here, it's just postfitty.com. That'll allow you to schedule for Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Facebook, and a few other obscure ones. It's a pretty handy app. It gives a free level. It gives you pretty much everything you need, but with limits on how many posts you can schedule. If you decide to upgrade to their $8 a month plan, you get up to 100 scheduled posts, which is really all most of us need if we're going to do it weekly. Part 2, should you be on Snapchat? Now this is a big one, because a lot of marketers are toying around with it, trying to figure out if it's really something that's worth their time. I think that uh, there's there's a list of questions that if you can answer yes to them, I would say you should consider it. Now, it's a long and exhaustive list. Well, not really long and exhaustive. Really, the audience is millennial. Um, it's very expensive, and you can't do like a $20 boost like you can on Facebook. Um, it costs a minimum of $50 a day in ad spend. Also, if you're attracting customers to a location, like if you're a resort or a restaurant, then it can be pretty big. If you have fun, highly visual content, videos, photos, live streams, that sort of thing. If you do a lot of that, then Snapchat's definitely worth considering. And finally, can you give a time-sensitive offer? Because the nature of Snapchat is that it's fleeting. It's a daily thing. It's 24 hours and it's gone. So if you can offer a time-sensitive offer, then you're in pretty good shape there. Next, publish experiences, not just stories. Instead of just posts, you want to be able to tell a story with your sponsored content on Snapchat. If you have a location like a restaurant or gym, slap some filters on that account. And filters come in two types. One is the silly dog faces or flower crowns you usually see people post on Facebook or Instagram, or static branded borders that can be active when someone is within a certain area. And that certain area can be specified in your Snapchat business account and can be drilled down to hundredths of a mile. Snapchat doesn't give you a lot of targeting like you're used to on Facebook or LinkedIn as far as demographic data, but we already know that it appeals to the younger audience more than either Facebook or Twitter. So if you can check everything off that earlier checklist, there it is again, you should consider advertising on Snapchat. Just a note, you need to use the desktop version of the site if you're going to run ads, and you'll also need to set up a business account. The process is really easy. Next, I've noticed that more and more marketers, not just people that are in sales or recruiting, are trying to figure out how to make use of LinkedIn. And I'm not going to go into showing how to make sure your profile is completed. LinkedIn helps guide you through that. We all know it's important to do it. First, and this applies to every social platform, but it is equally important here, is to tag absolutely everyone and everything. Few people do, and fewer people do it well. So when you pull people into a post that's relevant to them, maybe a recently completed campaign or an event that you're at with them, it really spreads. Another tip is to post at least 20 times a month. It sounds a lot at first, but it's really only one a day. In doing so, you're able to, on average, reach 60% of your audience. And conveniently, one post a day, usually in the morning or around 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, is usually the best time. Personally, I schedule about 2 per day, one in the morning and one in the evening. That way, I'm catching people in different parts of the day. Now, if you're aggressive about promoting your LinkedIn company page, there are some neat ways to integrate LinkedIn into your other marketing assets. I've seen email newsletters that have a from our LinkedIn page in a spot with updates that they recently posted only on LinkedIn. You can use this to highlight employees, vendors, and so on, and do it only on LinkedIn. So that becomes a source of exclusive content. Another way to do it is to add widgets to your website that aren't just like personal or company page feeds. An interesting one is one you see here with people that work for that company that also happen to be in your network. This provides a direct association between the visitor and your brand. Of course, no social media widget is complete without that handy little follow button. The same holds true for any social media platform. You'll see on our homepage that there's an Instagram feed that helps us get across our personality, our awards, our work, and it's just updated naturally. And it's new content that comes to your homepage or your website that really you don't have to log into your website and update. Next, consider writing articles on LinkedIn. It's really no different than blogging with one major exception, and that's LinkedIn does a lot of the promotion for you. A few years ago, I wrote this article on here about a news piece that I had just read. I didn't think anything of it. But when the views started going to the thousands, I looked into what's going on. And what I found was that LinkedIn's algorithm targets people with interests similar to this article's content, and they throw the article into their feed. When you are writing an article, here are a few tips for it. First, use a mix of content that educates, informs, and inspires. And second, share the articles in your LinkedIn groups. And when you share the article, they ask you to put a subject line. Always use a question. Using a question in LinkedIn posts is helpful, but it really helps get the conversation started in the group. There's a client of ours that we follow. He works for the Department of Tourism for Prince William County, and he's always doing a mix of stuff that's industry related, stuff that's tourist attraction related, and stuff that's going on with his department. So he does a really good mix, and he's consistent. So the internet is full of content that you can share. Just make sure that the article has to be really good at, once again, informing, educating, or inspiring. Next, a quick Instagram follow strategy. If your audience is Gen X or younger, it's a good idea to build a following on Instagram. It's a really simple platform. There's not much to it, but there's one trick that we've learned that will draw the attention of who you're trying to attract. And we've only seen this happen on Instagram, really. A feature that's frequently used by marketers is the search feature in Instagram. It's used by a lot of people. It's just not given a lot of love by marketers. And in there, you're given a lot of recommended posts and a lot of opportunity to follow accounts that may be in your target market. Let's say you're targeting breweries, for example. Once you follow the accounts that you already know of, you'll be suggested more in this search area. By continuing to follow more and more, it only takes about 8 to 10 to make this work. Then other breweries begin to get recommended to follow your account. On their business account, there's a recommended people to follow, and you'll show up there. As I said, we haven't seen this happen anywhere else, and it's a neat little trick that we've used to help clients attract tourists, niche customers, even local media. Now, if you are advertising on Facebook, make sure that you're using their audience insights tools and not just the ad manager. The ad manager helps a little bit, but the audience insights tool, which was released, say, a couple of years ago, it's a huge improvement. When you are posting on Facebook, use video whenever possible. Tag personal accounts, tag business accounts. Encourage your team to share your post to their personal accounts, and limit the number of links used to take people off of Facebook. For some reason, Facebook really doesn't like it when people leave. There's also a list of words, stop words, that Facebook doesn't really like using too much. They're a lot of the ones that you'd expect. Free in all caps is another one, is one. And they have about 30 stop words. And I've got the list, so if you want to send me your email, I'll email you the list of stop words that you can use. Don't completely neglect them, but just make sure that you're not using them too much. Back to the Audience Insights tool. Now, the Audience Insights tool gives you access to all of Facebook's data in a much easier interface. And of course, it doesn't give you individual data and stuff like that. Of course, that's not going to happen. But they give you your demographics, your age, gender, lifestyle, education, relationship status, and household size, all that stuff. But they'll also give you page likes, the top pages that people like in different categories, whether it's like women's apparel or sports. Location and language, of course. Where do people live? What language they speak? They'll also give you Facebook usage. How frequently are the people in your target audience logging onto Facebook, and what devices are they using? You can also go into purchase activity, past purchase behavior, purchase methods, whether it's in-store or online. They're starting to make that a bit more available in Ad Manager, where if somebody is more inclined to make an online purchase, then you can actually select that option and narrow down your audience. Finally, we all want to know what our competition's up to, but we don't want to spend a whole lot of time doing it. Fortunately, there are tools just for that. At the most basic is a feature that anyone with a Facebook page can access. In your Facebook Insights, if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a section where you can watch pages. As I said, this is really basic. You can click on each page title to get their week's posts, but what you see is pretty much what you get. You have just the likes and improvement from last week. You know, it's really, really basic, but there is a better one. Clear is by far the best that I've seen. You can track your competitors, their most popular posts, their post frequency, their audience, and it can tell you the difference between real people and bots. So we can tell you if their audience is inflated, as well as any influencers that you should be following. It can also tell you the demographics of your competitors are targeting and how well engaged that demographic is. So you can actually go after them if they're not very engaged. And the pricing for Clear is pretty steep. It's about $250 a month to start, but I've yet to find a comparable alternative at any price, and I'm not being paid to say that. All right. Do a quick time check. We're at, wow, 12:17. This is great. I have, let me see. The question, does it work with LinkedIn? Oh, okay. We're talking about scheduling. Post 50, absolutely. And that's what I use to schedule all of my LinkedIn posts. You can schedule it, I schedule about 2 a day, and it works perfectly for that. Yep, post 50, yep. Yeah, so it does post to LinkedIn. A couple questions that I've been emailed. Will my Facebook posts always get around 1% visibility for organic posts on a company page? The simple answer is no. Facebook uses machine learning on every single company page to see if posts are getting a decent amount of engagement over time. So if you're getting a lot of engagement, you're getting a lot of likes, shares, comments, that sort of stuff, then you'll appear more and more in your followers' feeds because now your content is appearing valuable. If it's garbage, Facebook is going to throttle your visibility until you're basically talking to yourself. What's next? Yeah. How much time should I devote to our LinkedIn company page? Now this one's simple. Hardly any. Now, sure, you should post to it regularly, about once a week or so, but the important work needs to be done by the people in your organization. Personal posts get 10 times the visibility of company posts, so you need to encourage your team to share the company posts when they're published. That'll also help grow the follower base since it's getting right in front of new people as well as the existing followers. If you're just publishing content to the same people over and over again, it's going to be really hard to grow that audience. But if you're having a team that's spreading it out, there's a greater chance of you increasing that base. Okay, well, so no more questions. I'd like to thank everybody for attending. Our next webinar is going to focus on website optimization and tips to turn it into a better lead generator. We're going to go like page by page, section by section. I'll give you tips on, how your website can be enhanced so that it's generating more leads and serving its purpose. We'll send an email out in the next few days that'll have the date and time, so keep an eye out for that. And with that, I hope you have a great rest of your day and look forward to seeing you at the next webinar.